Libra, let me ask you something, and answer it honestly. Have you felt it? That quiet pressure in your chest, like something in your life is over, but you haven't said it out loud yet. You're not imagining it. And this message didn't find you by chance. Right now, at the edge of 2025, your soul is standing still, looking at what you've been carrying too long. People, promises, versions of yourself that kept the peace, but slowly drained you. You've been strong, polite, understanding, and tired in a way rest doesn't fix. This isn't about fear, it's about truth. Because if you don't release what's already heavy, you won't be able to receive what's trying to reach you next. Stay with me. Listen closely, and trust yourself enough to hear what your soul has been whispering all along. You know what's strange, Libra? It isn't the noise of the year that's speaking to you right now. It's the quiet, that moment late at night when everything finally slows down. No one needs anything from you, no decisions to balance, no harmony to maintain, just you. And that feeling you can't shake, because somewhere deep inside, you already know. Something has reached its limit. You've been standing at the edge of this year longer than you realize, not counting days, counting weight. What you carried, what you gave, what you kept saying yes to, even when your body whispered no. You replay moments that didn't end the way you hoped, conversations that still echo, doors that closed without explanation. And even the wins feel quieter than they should, because they cost you more than anyone saw. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're aware. This is what happens when a Libra soul begins to take inventory, not of achievements, but of truth. You've been weighing things that were never meant to stay on the scale this long. Old expectations, unspoken guilt, relationships held together by habit instead of warmth. Versions of yourself that learned how to keep the peace, but forgot how to rest. And here's the part that matters. You didn't miss a sign, you didn't fail a lesson, you didn't fall behind. This moment arrived because you're finally ready to set something down. Not out of anger, not out of exhaustion, but out of respect for yourself. There's a difference. You can feel it in your chest now. That subtle pull, that quiet knowing that says, I can't take this into another year. This isn't about regret, it's about closure. Because a year doesn't truly end when the calendar turns. It ends when the soul decides it's done negotiating with what no longer fits. You've tried to make everything fair. You've tried to see every side. You've tried to be patient, understanding, reasonable. But balance isn't about holding everything evenly forever. Sometimes balance is knowing when to release one side completely. And that's why this message found you now, not earlier, not later, now. Because the version of you listening today is different than the one who started this year. Quieter, wiser, less willing to abandon yourself for the comfort of others. You may not be able to name exactly what's shifting yet. That's okay. Awareness always arrives before language. What matters is this: you are not being asked to fight. You are not being asked to force change. You are being asked to listen to that inner voice that's grown steadier with time, the one that no longer panics, the one that doesn't rush, the one that simply says, this cannot come with me anymore. And if you stay here with me a little longer, if you let the noise fall away, you'll begin to see what that voice has been trying to show you all along. Not all sadness needs to be healed right away. Some of it just needs to be seen. There is something about you, Libra, that most people never notice. You feel deeply, but you rarely let it show. You learned early how to read a room, how to sense when something was off, how to smooth the edges before anyone else felt uncomfortable. And somewhere along the way, you decided your own heaviness could wait. So you smiled when it hurt. You reassured others while quietly unraveling. You became the calm presence everyone leaned on, even when your own heart needed somewhere to rest. That sadness you carry does not scream. It hums, soft, persistent. Like a song playing in another room that never quite stops. Sometimes it shows up when you least expect it. When a memory surfaces out of nowhere. A voice you have not heard in a long time. A place that still feels like home, even though you cannot go back. Sometimes it is the absence that hurts more than the loss itself. The space where connection used to live. The version of a relationship that changed quietly. No argument, no ending, just distance. And then there is the weight of effort. The exhaustion that comes from trying your best all year long. Doing the right thing, being patient, staying hopeful. only to reach the end and wonder why it still feels unfinished. This sadness did not arrive all at once. It gathered slowly, moment by moment, compromise by compromise. And you held it because that is what you do. You hold things together. But listen to me now. Holding everything does not make you strong forever. It just makes you tired. You were never meant to carry the emotional temperature of everyone around you. You were never meant to absorb disappointment quietly and call it grace. And you were never meant to mistake endurance for balance. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling this way. There is nothing weak about acknowledging it. This sadness is not a flaw. It is information. It is your soul asking to be included in the equation again. Because balance is not silence, and harmony is not self-erasure. The truth is, Libra, you have outgrown some of what once fit. Outgrown certain expectations. Outgrown roles that asked you to stay, pleasant while shrinking inside. Outgrown relationships that relied on your understanding, but forgot your needs. And that quiet ache you feel now is not asking for more effort. It is asking for honesty. Not the kind you perform, the kind you allow yourself to feel. You do not need to fix this sadness tonight. You do not need to label it or rush it away. You only need to stop pretending it is not there. Because the moment you let it breathe, something else begins to move. Something lighter, something truer. This is not the part where everything falls apart. This is the part where you stop holding yourself together for everyone else. And as you sit with that realization, gently, without judgment, you may begin to sense it. That subtle shift beneath the surface. Not loss, not fear, but the quiet promise that what comes next will ask less of your sacrifice and more of your presence. Stay with that feeling, because it is leading you somewhere important. There's something else you should know, Libra, and this part is easy to misunderstand if you're not listening closely. What's approaching you isn't blocked, it's waiting. You've done enough to deserve relief, enough to deserve support, enough to deserve something that finally feels like it gives back instead of takes. The miracle you've been hoping for is real, not imagined, not symbolic. Real in the way life shifts when timing aligns. But miracles are sensitive things. They don't move through clenched hands. They don't arrive where there's no room to land. And right now, your hands are still full of old agreements you never renewed, full of expectations that once made sense but no longer fit who you are now, full of emotional weight you keep carrying because it feels irresponsible to let go. You've told yourself, just a little longer. After this settles, after that works out, after everyone else is okay. But the truth is quieter than that. What you're waiting for cannot arrive until something else leaves. This isn't punishment, it's precision. Because what's meant for you next needs space. Real space. Not the kind you promise yourself you'll make someday. For some Libras, this miracle wants to show up as stability, a financial breath, a sense that you're no longer bracing for the next hit. For others, it wants to arrive as news, a message, a decision that finally moves things forward after a long pause. For some, it's a doorway, an opportunity that wasn't available before because you weren't available for it yet. And for many of you, it's quieter than all of that. Healing inside the family, softening where things have been tense, a return of warmth where there has been distance. None of it can reach you if you're still gripping what already exhausted you. You see, Libra, miracles don't force themselves into your life. They respond to readiness, and readiness doesn't look like doing more. It looks like trusting less of what no longer works. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to loosen your grip, to stop guarding things that are already over, to stop negotiating with situations that have shown you their limit, to stop hoping that effort alone will change what needs honesty. This is where your balance comes back, not by fixing everything, but by choosing what no longer belongs in your field. You've been loyal to the past because it once kept you safe, but safety evolves, and what protected you before may now be blocking your growth. This is why the timing feels urgent, not rushed, urgent in the way a tide shifts before you can see it. You're closer than you think, closer to relief, closer to clarity, closer to something that feels aligned instead of earned through suffering. But you cannot bring everything with you. And if you sit with that truth for a moment, without fear, you may notice something surprising. The idea of letting go doesn't feel empty. It feels lighter. That's how you know you're on the right path, because what's coming doesn't need you to be stronger. It needs you to be open, and in that openness, something begins to stir. A sense that the next chapter won't be written in effort alone, but in alignment. Stay right here with me, because once you see what's ready to arrive, you'll understand exactly why something else must be released first. I want you to notice something, Libra, not with your mind, with your body. That tiredness you feel is not just about long days. It is not just the calendar closing in. It is the weight of carrying more than was ever yours to hold. You have been running on quiet determination all year, showing up, staying fair, doing the right thing even when it cost you energy you did not have to spare. You kept going because that is who you are. You believe things balance out if you stay patient long enough, if you keep your heart open, if you do not rock the boat. But endurance has a sound, and lately, yours has been getting softer. You wake up already tired, not sleepy tired, soul tired, the kind that lingers even after rest. Your thoughts feel heavier than they used to, your reactions slower, your spark dimmer. And you might have told yourself it is normal, that everyone feels this way at the end of a long year. But you know better. What drained you was not effort alone. It was emotional labor without pause. It was being the steady one when you needed steadiness too. It was listening, adjusting, accommodating, absorbing. You gave so much attention to what others needed that your own signals learned how to whisper instead of speak. There were moments when your body asked for rest and you answered with responsibility. Moments when your heart wanted space and you offered reassurance instead. Moments when silence would have healed you and you chose politeness. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human. You were never meant to operate at full capacity without recharging. You were never meant to be the emotional anchor for every room you enter. And you were never meant to earn rest by reaching exhaustion first. Right now, you are standing at the edge of that realization. And it feels uncomfortable because it changes how you see yourself. You are not failing because you are tired. You are waking up. The image that keeps coming through is simple. A phone flashing its final warning, not broken, just depleted. And the message is not to push harder. It is to unplug, to disconnect from the patterns that slowly drained you, from the expectations that never ended, from the belief that your worth is tied to how much you can carry. You do not need to prove anything anymore. Not your kindness, not your strength, not your reliability. What you need now is honesty, with yourself first. Because the version of you that is coming next does not survive on obligation. It moves on alignment, on clarity, on a quieter, truer sense of balance. You are allowed to rest without explanation. You are allowed to step back without guilt. You are allowed to choose peace even if it disappoints someone who benefited from your exhaustion. And if you listen closely, you can feel it. That subtle shift beginning to happen inside you. Not relief yet, but permission. Permission to stop pushing, permission to breathe again, permission to notice what actually restores you. Stay with that feeling for a moment, because once your energy begins to return, something else becomes visible. Not what took from you, but what is finally ready to meet you halfway. And that is where the story quietly turns. There's something you might not see yet, Libra, and it's understandable why. When you've been tired for so long, you stop measuring progress. You only feel effort. But beneath the exhaustion, something has been forming, slowly, quietly, without asking for attention. You didn't stall in 2025. You didn't fall behind. You were building momentum in a way that doesn't announce itself. Think about it for a moment. The direction you've been pulled toward lately, the role you've been stepping into without fully claiming, the work you kept showing up for even when the outcome felt distant. That wasn't random. That was alignment taking shape. Success doesn't always arrive as a loud moment. Sometimes it arrives as recognition before applause, as stability before celebration, as respect before reward. And you're closer to that threshold than you realize. People are starting to notice the steadiness in you, the clarity, the way you carry yourself differently now. Not louder, not harder, just more grounded. There may have been a time when your efforts went unseen, when you felt overlooked, when being fair and thoughtful did not seem to pay off. But that season is shifting. Something about you has changed the way others respond. They listen differently now. They take you seriously. They see the value you've always carried. You don't have to chase this recognition. It's already finding you. The irony is this: the closer you get to real success, the less it asks you to strain. What's emerging for you does not require self-sacrifice. It requires self-trust. You are touching the edge of something that can support you back, a project that has legs, a role that fits, a direction that feels sustainable instead of draining. But it will only fully open if you enter it differently than before. Not with overgiving, not with proving, not with exhaustion disguised as commitment. Lighter, clearer, more selective. You don't need to carry everything with you into this next phase. In fact, you can't. The success that's forming around you needs space to breathe. It needs you rested enough to recognize it, present enough to receive it. This is where your balance returns, not as a concept, but as a lived experience. You are allowed to succeed without suffering first. You are allowed to be acknowledged without shrinking. You are allowed to step forward without dragging old weight behind you. And as you begin to accept that truth, something settles inside you. A quiet confidence, not arrogance, not urgency. Just knowing. Knowing that you didn't come this far to stay in survival mode. Knowing that what's next is meant to meet you, not test you. Knowing that effort alone is no longer the currency of your growth. Stay with that feeling, let it land, because once you realize you are already touching what you asked for, you'll start to see clearly what can't come with you any further. And that awareness, that gentle clarity, is about to guide your next choice. There's a quiet truth you've been circling for a while now, Libra. You didn't want to admit it at first, because admitting it changes things. Some of the energy around you no longer feels safe, not loud, not dramatic, just heavy in a way that lingers after conversations end. You've felt it in the pauses, in the way certain names tighten your chest, in how your body relaxes the moment some people are no longer in the room. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. You've always been sensitive to balance, to tone, to what's unspoken. And lately, your intuition has been doing more work than your words. You may have noticed how often you've been misunderstood, how your kindness gets reinterpreted, how your silence becomes a story someone else tells for you. There are eyes on you that don't wish you harm, but don't wish you well either. Energy that feeds on proximity without offering nourishment in return. Connections that once felt neutral, but now feel draining. Not because you changed for the worse, because you grew brighter. Light attracts attention, not all of it benevolent. And here's the part that matters. You do not owe continued access to anyone who benefits from misunderstanding you. You do not need to correct every false perception. You do not need to stay connected just to prove you are still kind. You've spent years refining the art of explanation, softening your truth so it lands gently, clarifying your intentions so no one feels threatened. But the season you're entering doesn't require translation. It requires boundaries. You may notice yourself pulling back without making announcements, answering less, sharing selectively, choosing quiet over clarification. Some people will feel that shift. They may call it distance, coldness, change. Let them. What they're actually sensing is your nervous system choosing peace. You are not cutting people off out of anger. You are stepping away out of self-respect. There is a difference. You were never meant to be accessible to everyone. You were meant to be aligned with those who meet you in truth, those who don't need you to dim, those who don't question your intentions when you finally stop overgiving. This is the moment where your circle becomes smaller but steadier, quieter but cleaner, less crowded but more real. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable at first. You may question yourself, wonder if you are being too much or not enough. But listen closely. The calm that follows is not accidental. This is what happens when you stop carrying energy that isn't yours, when you stop absorbing projections, when you stop negotiating your worth. You're not losing people. You're losing interference. And as you stand more firmly in your own space, something else becomes clear. The next step in your life requires clarity. It requires you unentangled. It requires you choosing peace even when it costs you approval. You don't need to announce what you're releasing. You don't need to justify it. You just need to honor what your body already knows. Because what you're stepping into next will only respond to honesty, not performance, not politeness, not sacrifice. Stay with this awareness. Let it settle gently. Because once you stop explaining yourself to the wrong energies, you create room for a choice that will change everything that comes after. There comes a moment, Libra, when clarity stops feeling gentle. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush. It simply stands there, unmovable. You've been circling this truth for a while now, trying to soften it, trying to find a compromise that would let everything stay the same just a little longer. But something inside you already knows. This can't continue. It's not dramatic. It's not explosive. It's the quiet certainty that arrives when something has run its course. A relationship that once felt alive, but now feels like maintenance. A habit that kept you comfortable, but slowly dimmed your edge. A situation you outgrew, but kept honoring out of loyalty to the past. You didn't rush to this conclusion. You earned it. You stayed longer than most would. You tried to understand every angle. You gave space, time, grace. But wisdom has a threshold, and you're standing at it now. This isn't about anger. It isn't about proving a point. It's about recognizing what no longer responds to care. What is broken doesn't need to be punished. It needs to be released. There is a difference. Holding on won't fix what has already shown you its limits. Revisiting it won't restore what has quietly faded. And carrying it forward will only weigh down the version of you that's trying to emerge. You can feel the tension in your body when you imagine bringing this into another year. That tightening, that hesitation, that silent no. Listen to that. This decision isn't emotional, it's intelligent. It comes from lived experience, from patterns repeated long enough to reveal themselves, from understanding that peace doesn't come from endurance alone. You are not being asked to destroy anything. You are being asked to stop preserving what no longer supports life. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step away, not to create distance, but to allow truth. You may worry about how this will look, what people will think, whether you'll be misunderstood. Let them misunderstand. You have spent enough years translating yourself for others. This moment is not for explanation, it's for alignment. When you finally stop carrying this weight, something surprising happens. You don't feel loss. You feel relief. Your breath deepens, your shoulders drop, your thoughts clear. This is how you know it's right. You are not closing a door in bitterness, you are closing it with awareness, because what comes next cannot enter a space cluttered with the past. The next chapter needs clean ground, clear intention. A Libra who is no longer negotiating with what drains them. You don't have to announce this ending, you don't have to dramatize it. You only have to honor it. And as you do, gently, decisively, you may notice the atmosphere shift. Not immediately joyful, but unmistakably lighter. This is the sound of a cycle completing, quiet, final, necessary. Stay here for a moment. Feel the steadiness of that choice. Because once something truly ends, something else always begins to move. Not loudly, not all at once, but with purpose. And what's waiting on the other side of this release is closer than you think. There is a quiet moment that comes after letting go, Libra. Not dramatic, not celebratory, just still. It feels unfamiliar at first, because for so long, your nervous system learned how to brace, how to anticipate, how to adjust before impact. And then suddenly, there is space. Not empty space, open space. You may notice it in small ways, the way your breath deepens without effort, the way your thoughts stop racing ahead, the way silence begins to feel like rest instead of tension. This is what happens when weight leaves the body, not all at once, but honestly. Your creative energy starts to return quietly, not as pressure to do more, but as curiosity, as ideas that arrive gently instead of demanding urgency. You begin to feel safer inside yourself, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer at war with what you already know. Money starts to feel less reactive, less tied to fear, less like something you have to chase. Stability grows when panic fades, and something else softens too. Your emotional world. Family conversations warm again. Connections feel less strained, not because you forced healing, but because you stopped carrying what blocked it. For some Libras, this season brings news that feels tender, a new life joining the family, a reconnection that feels clean instead of complicated, a moment that reminds you why you kept your heart open in the first place. For others, it arrives as opportunity, not flashy, not overwhelming, just right. An opening that meets you where you are now, not who you were trying to be, and maybe the most powerful thing of all happens quietly. You look back at the year that tried you, and instead of resentment, you feel something else. Respect. for yourself. You see how much you endured, how much you learned, how many times you chose grace even when it cost you. And the thought settles in without needing affirmation. I survived. I am still standing. This is not the end of your story. It is the clearing that allows the next chapter to breathe. You are not closing 2025 in defeat. You are closing it in truth. Say goodbye to what taught you endurance. Welcome what will teach you ease. Because the year ahead is not coming to repair you. You were never broken. It is coming to elevate you, to meet you with less resistance, to respond to the boundaries you finally honored. The balance you've always sought was never outside you. It was waiting for you to choose yourself without apology. And as you step forward, gently, intentionally, you may notice the path does not demand proof, only presence. Stay with that feeling. Let it guide your first steps. Because something better is already moving toward you, and this time, you are ready to receive it. Libra. If something inside you feels quieter right now, that's not emptiness, that's alignment. You didn't come this far to repeat old cycles. You came this far to recognize your own worth without having to explain it to anyone. Let what needed to end stay in the past. It already taught you what it could, and let yourself trust what feels lighter, even if it still feels unfamiliar. This is how balance returns, not by holding everything together, but by choosing yourself with clarity and grace. If this message touched you, leave a comment and let me know what you're releasing. Your words matter here. Your story belongs in this space. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe if you feel called. This channel is a place for Libra souls who are learning to trust themselves again. And remember, this isn't the end of the message. It's only the pause before the next one arrives. The journey continues. The next chapter is already forming, and you don't have to walk it alone. Trust yourself, Libra. I'll see you in the next message.